Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reads Reads, first one of 2013. Happy New Year to everybody. Well, I think you're probably all guessing what I was talking about since there's been a lot of talk, both high and low and everything. That's right, we are going to talk about Superior Spider Man, the end of Amazing Spider Man 700, which shipped just before New Year's here. Good old 700, completely sold out. Even newsstand editions almost sold out and everything else. But of course, the biggest shock, of course, is Peter Parker actually died for Dr. Octopus to, of course, take over Peter's body completely, including living his memories and thoughts, and of course, making a vow that Peter would not die in vain, that he would be a hero, but be known as the Superior Spider-Man. So, first of all, you're probably all wondering what are my thoughts on this? Well, first of all, I'll say the issue in general. Believe it or not, this is, even though it's taken 100 issues since Dr. Octopus was revealed to be dying in issue 600 a couple years ago. I have to say the build-up and the transition all the way up to the storyline by Dan Slott has actually been done very well. And even what led to the final parts of the story with Peter actually taking advantage of Oct's body and his golden Octobot, getting the Scorpion, the Trapster, and Hydro Man to break him out of prison, and what he was trying to do to lure, Doctor Octopus to, of course, the mayor's office to, of course, get everything done so he could do the re-switch and get himself back in the body. But as he knew at that moment too, that once he did that, he knew he really would be sentencing Doctor Octopus to death, and he would be doing it for his own reasons. And that right there, he knew would end his career as Spider-Man. But of course, it failed. Doctor Octopus took precautions, but the mind link was there, and Peter pretty much made him relive all of his memories, because there's always a difference between exactly what happened, the facts, which is what was talked about a lot in 698, but how he said, I know everything about Peter Parker. I know everything about you is what he told Dr. Octopus, what Dr. Octopus told Peter and everything. So, you can't have somebody quiz him and be like, hey, remember that time we went and did this? Oh, yeah, I remember it. And we did this. He had that memory. But there's a difference between knowing what happened and emotionally living those experiences. And that's what Peter did it. And that pretty much was also the back door right there needed. So if this doesn't work, or they only go for a year or two with this storyline, that Peter Parker is still there. He'll come back. They just have to get Dr. Octopus, his brainwaves out of Peter Parker's body. So he's dead, but he isn't dead. So, it's not like, a couple years ago when we were talking, it's hard to believe, almost 2 years now, because we talked about the death of Ultimate Spider-Man, which actually had the Peter Parker of the Ultimate Universe died fighting the Sinister Six, fighting Norman Osborn. He gave his life, protecting those his love. And of course, they introduced the brand new Spider-Man, Miles Morales, who's, half, African American and everything else, and has been the new Spider-Man since then, and actually has worked very well for storylines. If anything, it's probably been some of Michael Bendis' best writing the last 2 years. But everything Ultimate in the book is still enjoyable, though, got to keep it a little away from crossovers, but Ultimate Universe, what are you going to do? But the truth was, that being said, I think it was a decently written story. The execution and the whole little continuing, like, well, Peter's gone, we want something else, and more fresher, younger Spider-Man, even though it's Peter's body and memories and experiences and blah, blah, blah. It just feels like it is that continuing thing that we need to get the audience, we need to get the younger stuff, we need to stay away from marriage, we need to do this, it's not Peter, but now we can do all the storylines we can with a whole new, fresher look, and that's unfortunate where it comes to, because, that was the point of Ultimate Spider-Man, getting back to those younger days, knowing what happened and building its own continuity. And Dr. Octopus is my second favorite Spider-Man villain. Mysterio's number one, but Dr. Octopus is number two, followed by, Green Goblin. But, it's something you just really have to wonder. And, over at Avenging Spider-Man 15.1, which was also out about the aftermath of what had happened in Amazing 700, which Chris Yost did a really well job explaining the new setup for Spider-Man, the Superior Spider-Man, why he's doing his costume upgrades and everything he wants to do, and everything made sense. But you really got to wonder how it's going to work and why it's going to be very interesting how Superior Spider-Man is. And I am picking up issue 1, in another week. But at the same time, you just kind of wonder, is this really necessary? I just see it as a story. It's just like it wasn't like what happened with Hal Jordan back in the early 90s, where it's like, oh, let's get a younger, hipper, let's make him a bad guy, and blah, 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 even though, from Ron Mars to Gerald Banks did a great job working on the stories and making us love Kyle Rayner. But it's that whole little thing where you just feel like you have to throw everything out with the bath water to just give us something fresh and new, just to have a new, hopefully capture audiences, sales, and whatnot. And let's face it, it's worked. It's caused talk. It's caused national coverage. Superior Spider-Man's going to have very high orders, so it worked. So, mission accomplished. So let's just see what happens with the Superior Spider-Man, if Amazing Returns or whatever happens with, Doc Ock / Peter Parker as a Superior Spider-Man, especially in the pages of Avengers and, Fantastic Four, and coming up the Age of Ultron in the spring. So I just say not bad, and we'll see what happens with the story. On other news, though, I would definitely check out New Avengers, which also comes out this week, and everything else. Early reviews have been mixed, but it's definitely Jonathan Hickman being Jonathan Hickman using the Illuminati. So I highly recommend that. Invincible 100's out in a couple weeks, so go check that out. And guess what? Go see The Hobbit, Wreck-It Ralph if you haven't seen them. Those are great movies to kick off before we really get into some more of the more needed movies and so forth. And hey, if anybody got an iPad mini over the holidays, I hope you're enjoying it. Always email me if you need help with it. And of course, if anything, come check out, of course, the blog, The Uncanny Comic Book Reader, over on blog. And also, of course, check out our new Facebook page. Come and like us, please. We're doing lots of fun stuff now. The page is really starting to come along, and we're getting some new members. And I'm really excited for 2013, what it holds on. So come up and check that out. And on that note, I hope everybody has a wonderful 2013, and I will see you in the weeks ahead. See you later.